What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Book of JT, and welcome to the second part of my Carolina Panthers offensive ebook for Madden 22. Now, if you watched part one, you would have seen that we went over the gun tight Y off in great detail, and a lot of you provided some good feedback for that, so I'm thankful that some of you found it enjoyable and helpful. We are going to cover the gun bunch offset in this video primarily, but before I get into that, I actually want to show you one quick adjustment that I'm making out of the tight Y off as the defensive meta has shifted. So when I published part one, there was no run commit glitch in the game. It might have been there, but people weren't really running it. But now the run commit glitch has caught on like wildfire, and everybody seems to be running this online. So basically, what the run commit glitch is it's essentially where your opponent is run committing with 3 or less players rushing the quarterback. And as a result, they are able to read both the pass and the run. So if they run commit glitch and you pass the ball, then their defense will play coverage. If they run commit and you run the ball, then they'll actually run commit and blow up the run. I'm going to show you a quick demonstration of what this is and how I'm currently countering it out of the gun tight Y off. Basically, all you need to do is change your second audible from inside zone to the RPO zone alert glance. Okay, and I'll show you why. So if I come out on offense against a basic cover 3, just like so, and then on defense, I run commit, and then go ahead and put one of my 4 blitzing linebackers or linemen into a spy or a zone, you'll see that if I run a passing play, like red zone scissors, that they'll drop back and play coverage, right? So they're not going to run commit. Now, if I do the exact same setup, and I go ahead on defense and I run commit, and then put one of my defensive pass rushers into a zone or coverage assignment, you'll see here that if I run the ball, the actual run commit will come in, and they'll be able to blow this up either in the backfield or for a very short gain. So as a result, when they're doing this, it becomes very difficult to run the ball consistently, right? Because they're going to guess right every single time due to a glitch that's in the game, which allows them to run commit, spy someone, or zone them, and then get in the backfield and blow this up. So that's obviously a big problem, and it is something that has been frustrating, and this is why I waited a little bit to bring out part 2, because I wanted to make sure that I was used to playing against the current defensive meta and giving you guys the best strategy to beat it. And the simple way to get around this is just to run the play RPO zone alert glance. Okay, this is my second audible, and it's going to look exactly like an inside zone. The only difference is that RPOs are recognized as a passing play in this game because there is a pass option on the slant to Antonio Brown and then also to the smoke screen to Mike Evans. So for that reason, the defense, if they do this run commit glitch, because the game views the RPO play as a passing play, the run commit won't come in. They'll play coverage. And that allows you to hand the ball off to the running back, cut through your gap, and get upfield almost identically to what I showed you in part 1 with the inside zone. So quite simple, run the RPO zone alert glance, treat it like an inside zone. And if your opponent does this run commit glitch against you, then you'll be able to go ahead and just pound the ball down their throats for easy gains. All right. And this is what I've been doing online. So I'm going to move on to the gun bunch offset now, but that's just a quick little note to add on to part 1 for you to beat the run commit glitch in this year's game. All right. With that being said, let's jump into bunch offset. Now, the gun bunch offset is a very pass heavy formation for me, so I don't have any runs in my audibles, especially with the run commit glitch being so prevalent. Because there are no RPOs or anything like that, if someone is run commit glitching and you run an inside zone split or an outside zone, they'll come straight in and blow it up in the backfield. Okay. If you are facing someone who is blitzing you heavy and you want to run the ball, my suggestion would be to choose the inside zone split. I just find that it is a better run play all around than the outside zone. You get a better running angle with your running back, and you can sort of cut it between the tackles quite well. But as I said, at this point in time, I'm not really running the ball too much from the bunch offset. Now, as far as which plays I want to break down, there are so many good plays in this formation. So I want to show you the basics. I want to show you what I run most commonly and how I implement them into my game plan. The first play I want to show you is going to be the Verts HB under. I have 2 setups out of this that I really like that I want to show you. The second play that I want to break down is going to be the play double post. Very quick setup out of this, good base play, very effective. The third play that I'm going to show you is going to be the play flood, which is a fantastic play against match and man-to-man. It also does a very good job against certain zones as well, which you can mix in. The fourth play that I'm going to show you is going to be the play dig return. Now, dig return is one of my favorite plays in the game. It's fantastic in the red zone. It's also very good against match coverage. So if you come up against like a cover 4 palms or a cover 4 quarters, you're going to have an easy time getting one play touchdowns against it. And then finally, I'm going to show you a couple of sort of straggler plays here and there that I mix in, which are plays like PA dig fork. There's also spacing switch, mesh spot, and curl flat. Okay, those are the plays that I'm going to break down. So might sound complicated or like long-winded, but trust me, I'm going to make this as simple as possible. And if you take the time to watch this in its full or its entirety rather, and learn it, you will be very good out of gun bunch. All right. So before we jump into it, audibles are like this. Dig return because I like to have it there to audible to in the red zone if I run hurry up. I also like it if I see match coverage, I'll audible into dig return a lot of the time and look for a bum. The second is double post. Again, very good quick snap play, very effective setup, great routes on the field. Verts HB under is my favorite play out of this formation, so I like to have it in my audibles if I'm audibling between tight Y off and gun bunch. And then finally, I have the play flood in my audibles, which is great against man-to-man and also good against match. So with that being said, let's jump straight into it. First play is going to be Verts HB under, and we're going to go up against random plays defensively. All right, now my first setup out of the play Verts HB under is quite simple. What I'm going to do is put my running back on an out route, just like so. I'm going to block my tight end, and I'm going to put my outside bunch wide receiver on a deep in route. To do that, you want to hot route them onto an in route, and then you want to smart route that, just like so. Now, smart routing it just makes it go to the first down marker. So if you're at anything more than 5 yards to a first down, smart routing the in route will just make it a little bit longer, which I generally prefer, right? That's the setup. Now, the read progression here is quite simple. I always look to the flats first to hit the running back, and this will force your opponent to have like hard flats out on the field. If that doesn't get open, I'll generally look for this crossing route second to your point wide receiver, which is Godwin in this case. And then my third read is going to be this backside in route. I'm going to snap the ball, and you'll see off the bat, I'm going to hit the flats, rat catch with the running back, and get downfield. Now, I typically prefer to have a power back this year just because I think it's important to be able to truck and get downfield. And when you're running this play, if you hit the flats, you want to either use a spin move or truck someone, one of the two. They're the two best moves in the game, in my opinion, and it'll allow you to pick up, 8 yards a pop. Now, if your opponent is going ahead and they're playing some sort of coverage with hard flats on the field, right, and you run the same setup, you'll see that this crossing route to Godwin is going to get wide open. The reason why is because it gets downfield at a depth of about 30 yards. So the only way for your opponent to play this is going to be to either user it or have their zone drop set to 30 yards. If they don't do that, you're going to find that this crossing route will get wide open, and you're going to be able to hit this in a very tender spot of the defense for a big gain. The reason why this works so well, again, is because we have a multi-level attack on the left side of the field. You have the out route out of the backfield, which attacks the flats. If someone comes down to play the flats, then this is going to get wide open, okay? This streak on the left side of the field, or the single side receiver, I should say, because you could flip the bunch, but the single side receiver being on this streak basically just runs off the deep zone on this side of the field, which opens up space underneath for you to hit Godwin crossing. Now, what you'll find 9 times out of 10 is that your opponent will use this route, okay? They'll get their user and they'll try to run with it. So just say, for example, your opponent was using Micah Parsons right here, and they're running with Godwin. So right here, pretend that Parsons was running with Godwin on that crossing route. You'll see that you will have a window to throw this on the backside to Antonio Brown, because if your opponent's running with the crossing route, there's going to be space left in the middle of the field where you can hit that in route. So just to sort of mimic that for you, I'm going to go ahead and run again like a cover 3 where they're playing hard flats to try to take away the route out of the backfield, and they're using the crossing route to Godwin. Now, in the case of this setup, there's a good chance that Godwin will beat Parsons to the sideline. But what I'm trying to illustrate here is that regardless, if their user is taken out of the play, then you're going to have a window to throw that in route on the backside. So just imagine right here. Imagine, your opponent was actually usering here and they were fast enough to run across with Godwin. Right here, Godwin just toasted this man assignment, but, use your imagination, pretend that Parsons is out running with Godwin and he's over here. You can see there is quite a large window behind them to throw this in route to Antonio Brown, which is what I'm trying to sort of illustrate to you. All right, moving on to the second setup out of the play Verts HB under. Basically, what we're going to be doing here is just taking advantage of motion and then making a read on the defense. So you want to motion the outside bunch wide receiver to the sideline and wait for him to set, just like so. And then from there, you want to read the cornerback on the same side of the field as the wide receiver that we just motioned. So in this case, it's Trayvon Diggs. Now, at the snap of the ball, your first read is always going to be that wheel route on the sideline. If Trayvon Diggs backpedals at the snap, that means that you have room to throw this ball. So again, if he backpedals like that, you can outside pass lead this and get downfield. All right. Now, if you're concerned about the player in the flats picking this off, then you just want to go through your read progression. But from my experience, especially with a gunslinger or a velocity style ability on your quarterback, what I find is that this is a very safe throw to make if you throw it just before he cuts. There's such a large gap there to throw that ball, and timing is important. So you don't want to throw this ball too late. You want to wait for him to hit the sideline, and then as soon as he hits the sideline, right there, then you want to pass lead to the outside, just like so. That's key. Now that's your first read. If your opponent is playing a cover 2 hard flats, for example, right, you'll see that at the snap of the ball, Diggs will not back up. He'll kind of walk towards the ball, or he'll stay put at the 30-yard line. If that happens, then you want to look to your other reads on the play. So you want to look to hit either the running back out of the backfield, the wheel route, or the crossing route to Godwin, which we went over in the first setup. So right here, you can see that's not open, so you can hit this out of the backfield, right? The reason why that route gets so open, one of my favorite routes in the game, it's called a dragon route. It's what I've always been told it was called, but I could be wrong. But that's what I refer to it as, a dragon route. The thing about the dragon route is it's like a curved in route out of the backfield. So the way that it works is it allows you to sort of beat man to man because you get a nice quick cut there from the running back. And then as you can see against zone, because this is a play where we have a lot of routes developing downfield, like this crossing route, it's actually going to carry the mid read and the mid zones over the middle back, and that's going to open up space underneath for you to throw this ball to your running back. So again, Godwin is crossing, the routes over the middle are clearing out the zones, and then you can throw this underneath and get upfield for 8 yards or whatever it may be. Now, if the outside wide receiver isn't open and you're too late on the route out of the backfield, then you can wait for this crossing route once again. I showed you how good it was on the previous setup, but it's a very effective route that you can throw. So that's pretty much the setup that I run. So go to this sparingly. Again, it's very difficult because your opponent will need to have zone drops out there on the field. If they don't have zone drops and they don't know how to defend the crossing route or that motioned wheel route, or if you go back to setup 1, and they don't know how to set up Mabel coverage on the left side, and they're not, proficient at it, you're going to be able to go between these two setups very easily and get a lot of yards on them. So that's play number 1. Everybody has their own setups, but these are the 2 that are most effective to me. They're also very simple and very, as I said, effective. So mix them in. And with that being said, we're going to move on to the second play, which is going to be the play double post. Now, double post is quite simple to run. It's a very easy play to set up. Once again, we're going to have the bunch on the wide side of the field. It's really important that you guys get used to doing that because especially on that previous play that I showed you out of verticals, that motioned out wheel route will not work half as well on the short side. So make sure your bunch is on the wide side of the field. But here we are in double post. And basically I make one hot route on this play. I put the point wide receiver or the slot wide receiver on a drag route, just like so. All right. And then you'll see right here, your read progression is quite simple. We have that same dragon route that we had on the previous play out of the backfield, which I really like. But your read progression is quite simple from there. So you want to go ahead and read the flats first. So I always look to my tight end. If the flats are open, I'll throw it here. My second read is going to be the mesh pattern over the middle between Godwin and the running back. So I'm looking flats, crossing route, and route out of the backfield. And if neither of those two are open, then I'm going to go ahead and try to hit this post if it's open there. So you'll find that a lot of the time you'll be able to just throw this straight to the flats or just check down to one of these. Quite simple. If they're playing like a cover 3 shell, this is a very good play to run because kind of stretches the field and makes it very easy to hit one of these two routes underneath. Now you'll see that on the left side of the field right there, that C route to Mike Evans really pulls the deep zones and the curl flat or the flat in that area back with it, and that will open up space underneath. Okay. If your opponent shades down or sets their zone drops to like 5 yards to try to take away some of these routes underneath, so if they do something like this, you'll find that you will have room to throw this post. So this post route gets just underneath those safeties. So it's a very effective route because the depth at which it breaks is shallow enough that it gets underneath the safeties at the top, but it's sort of deep enough that it gets behind the linebackers and the mid zones over the middle, especially with the mesh pattern underneath pulling those zones down. It will open up a window for you to throw that ball. So not going to spend too much time on this one. It's quite simple. You'd be surprised how effective this check down to the tight end is if you snap throw it. I don't know if I'll get the chance, but you'll see that it's very effective. And that was against man-to-man. So against man, you have the route out of the backfield as well as the post and the drag. So again, if I go into replay mode here, you'll see that the route out of the backfield, toast man, the drag right here, toast man, and then also this post right here, toasted its man assignment with like an inside down pass lead right here. This would be an easy completion for you. So good play, beats man, beats zone, and mix it in well. Run it one more time for you. And you can see if you get time in the pocket, take your pick. You have a bunch of routes that get open. But that's double post. Quick setup, very easy to quick snap your opponent. And I recommend mixing that in with the verticals. All right, now the third play that I want to show you is going to be the play flood. Now, this is one of my favorite plays in this formation. I've been running this for a few years now, and I find that it works best against a play like Mike Blitz O out of the nickel 3-3-5 wide, a man blitz, right? Man blitzers really struggle to defend this, so I'm going to set this up how most people do, which is by pinching their linebackers, crashing up and containing to try to get that looping pressure. This is one of the more popular blitzes in the game out of man coverage. But the reason why this play decimates a lot of man blitzes is because we have so many man beating routes on the play and we still have good pass protection. So the way that I set this up is I block the tight end and then I put my outside bunch wide receiver on an out route and I also put my running back on an out route. So it looks like this. Now my first reads are always going to be to either the running back or the outside bunch wide receiver. And generally one of these two digs I find, one of these two out routes will beat their assignment. But if neither of these two can get separation, then I can usually count on either my slot wide receiver to get separation on their outside cut or this deep dig to get separation. So all man beating routes, as you can see, that absolutely toast man coverage. For some reason, we've got a terrible rack animation right there. But the speed at which this cuts out of the backfield, even when matched up against a corner, is just so quick. It's very difficult for the CPU to guard this. And it's a route that you can really rely on. And you can see that I use it a lot in this game plan. But it's because it's so effective, right? And then on the bunch side, you can see we have this out route. So again, you could just low ball this and rack catch it and get upfield. You can wait for this this slot wide receiver to attack the corner with his out route. And then if neither of those get open, then you can sometimes wait for this deep in to develop, and it will sometimes beat its man assignment right there. So again, I'm going to run the same play call, man coverage, a man blitz, same setup offensively, just like so. And as I said, you can wait. I don't know why that wasn't man to man. But yeah, if you do that, you can wait and one of them will get open. So again, Mike blitz O, same setup, just like so. And you can see right here, again, look, this gets wide open. They all get open. It's a man beating play. So I'd say go to this often if you're facing a man blitz heavy player. Against zone, this still works, but it's just probably not as effective as it is against man. But yeah, I definitely mix this in. Now, if my opponent is running a zone heavy defense, there are just better plays in this formation that beat zone than flood. But you can still run this. You can run it like, with the running back on an in route, and then you have sort of like a double attack to the shallow right side of the field, like right here. That's one way you can run it. But again, I don't want to fill your head with too many random setups because I feel like I want to keep this as, concise as possible. So I recommend just going to this when you're going up against match coverage. And then you can also run this against man and match, right? So if you go up against match, all you want to do, going to cover 4, show 2, again, flood. You just want to basically streak the outside wide receiver just like so. And then you'll see right here that against match, this out route is going to get wide open because when they swap the two DBs, there's going to be like a slight delay before the outside corner picks up that out route to the slot wide receiver. And then there's going to be a wide open window to throw that ball. So if I'm facing match coverage, I pretty much always go to this. It's very, very effective, as you can see. By the time they swap, that out route is wide open and the slot wide receiver gets a big play. So against match, this is the setup that I run. But against man, I'll obviously run the first setup that I showed you, right? So those are the two reasons I often go to flood. Again, beat match, beat man, beat the blitz. Very good play. All right, now moving on to the fourth play that I want to show you. And this is going to be your play that you go to against any coverage. This isn't specific to beat man or match or anything like that. I wanted to show you flood because it is very good against the meta that people run with man blitzing and match becoming more popular. So I just wanted to mix that in. But this play, curl flat, is a play you can run against man. You can run it against, most types of zone. Match does a pretty good job against this, but again, you can still try it. Basically, any cover 3, cover 2, cover 1, anything like that is going to do a very poor job of trying to guard this. So the way that I set this up, curl flat, is I go ahead and I block the running back, I streak the outside bunch wide receiver, and then I put the single side receiver on an in route, just like so. I snap the ball. I'm reading the flats first. If the flats are open, I'll throw it. If the flats aren't open, then I won't. But generally speaking, you can get like 5 yards in the flats unless they're playing hard flats there. If they've got their zone drop set back to 20 yards or 30 yards, then you'll find that this check down to your tight end will be there all day long, and you can really get downfield with this. Try to truck or stiff arm and get downfield. When they start to bring their zones a little bit more shallow to guard the flats, or if you find, that you're not able to get that open, and you get time in the pocket, then this corner out to your point wide receiver is going to be wide open, right? Now, the reason why this gets so open again is because we have the outside bunch receiver on a streak, which is generally going to carry zones downfield with it. And then if you can just down and out pass lead this ball, right now, Brady's doing a terrible job of throwing this. But generally speaking, with a down and out pass lead, you're going to have a very good time of catching that ball quite often. So you'll see it right here. Again, that was a better pass lead and it gets wide open. So you can mix this in again. It's just frustrating because a lot of these zones that are going to cover this need to be set with zone drops. So for your opponent, it's a headache. They're going to have to worry about that crossing route out of, verticals that I showed you. They're going to have to worry about this corner route on the other side of the field. If they go to match and they try to take this away with match coverage, you have match beaters. So in general, you can see that if you mix these plays in well, and mixing them is key because you want to keep your opponent on their toes, there's not really anything that they're going to be able to do aside from playing double Mabel coverage with 30-yard flats on the field. And that's going to open up other things for us over the middle. So this is the final play that I just wanted to show you that you can run in just general play. And then, you mix this in with verticals, you mix this in with obviously double post, and then also the stuff that I taught you out of tight Y off, because again, same personnel package, so you can audible between the two formations. But you could imagine that, running this over and over is a headache for your opponent. So I recommend mixing this in just as often as verticals and stuff. And it's a good play to run. All right, now I'm going to show you how I beat cover 4 quarters, cover 4 palms, and any type of match concept in this game. This is a very good play that I recommend you run and keep in your back pocket if your opponent is running a whole lot of match. The play is dig return, and I'm going to use this play to transition into some red zone offense as well, because we use this play for both bombing cover 4 and scoring down in the red zone. But basically, all you're doing here is you're streaking the point wide receiver, and then you're putting the tight end on a smart routed in route, just like this. Now, if I snap this ball, and this is again against quarters, you'll see right here we get shedded. But that point wide receiver will get wide open. So I'm going to run this one more time and hope that my pass protection holds up. But again, this is against cover 4 quarters. And you see that we're going to get wide open over the top. And again, the pass rush in practice mode is insane. I'm trying not to cut the video too much, so I'm just going to spy out the D-line so we get time to throw it. And again, in our practice mode, the sheds are really nasty, as any of you would know if you lab quite often. But look, this gets wide open, so you can see right here, it looks like they've almost run commit. They don't even know what's happened. And it's basically just a miscommunication at the top between the safeties in their switching principles in match. So again, go into replay mode here and you'll see that essentially no one picks him up, right? So because there's a smart routed 10-yard in route inside right here, this safety decides to shade towards the middle to try to cover the tight end, right? And then once the tight end is picked up by this safety and they switch back, then it's too late, right? There's a miscommunication there. So it's basically just a series of routes that confuse matches and allows you to pass lead this over the top for a one-play score. So you'll see this is pretty consistent. I'll leave the pass rush here. Hopefully we get enough time to throw it. But you'll see right here that, again, it's just very open, gets over the top, causes miscommunication with match, and gets you a one-play score. Now, I'm going to move the ball down into the red zone just to show you why I like this play in the red zone. Different setup completely, but again, it's a very good red zone offense, so I may as well show it to you. Again, I like to have my my bunch on the wide side of the field, as it's become like a common theme in this ebook. Basically, all I do is I block the tight end. I put the bunch outside wide receiver on a flat route. I put my single side wide receiver on a smoke screen. And then I put my running back on an in route, just like this. And then from there, what I do is I go ahead and motion out the bunch side wide receiver. Snap the ball. And then you'll see right here that we're going to get one of two routes open. So you're going to get that deep in route either open. Now, if your opponent goes into like a cover 2 shell, something like that, again, same setup regardless. All right, just like so, motion out the outside bunch wide receiver, and you'll find that like this will get wide open. See, out of the backfield. It's very difficult for your opponent to guard these, right? Even if they play cover 2 and shade down, for some reason, unless they use this route out of the backfield, it just gets wide open. So this is like a play where you have a vertical hook in the area, you have a hard flat over there, a deep half, a mid-read in the middle. You have a lot of routes in that vicinity. I mean, a lot of zones in that vicinity, but nothing seems to defend this route consistently. You can just pass lead this to the outside. And because we have that flat out there, it will pull any flat zones outside. So you see right here, this flat zone, this flat route right here will pull the flat out towards it, right? As you can see. And then that opens up a pocket in between the numbers and the sideline to throw this ball. And we're going to get this almost every single time because these vertical hooks, these won't go out that far. So you can just outside pass lead this and get into the end zone. And again, on the backside, I don't know if we had enough time in the pocket there, but as you can see, this route to your slot wide receiver, if it's not being used, will get wide open in this back corner of the end zone. So if he was to keep running here, if I didn't pass the ball earlier, as you can see, that's going to get wide open. So I'll run it again right here just to show you against cover 2 with hard flats. I'll stay in the pocket enough time for you to see the slot wide receivers in route develop. But as you can see, I'll block the tight end, put the running back on an in route, flat the outside bunch wide receiver, and put the single side receiver on a smoke screen. Go ahead and motion out the bunch wide receiver, snap the ball, and you'll see right here that if I have enough time in the pocket, this is going to get wide open in the back of the end zone, and we're going to be able to throw that for an easy score. So a very good pass play down where it's difficult to score. Dig return works really well. I also want to show you the play spacing switch. So this is a very good play with a lot of built-in hitches, and again, it does a good job against like zone coverage. So if I was to run cover 3, for example, down here with hard flats, you'll see right here, I can just quick snap this play. And then generally speaking, I can just low ball this to one of my receivers and it will get open. Just does a good job against zone. It's literally a zone killer. This is the whole point of spacing switch, is that if your opponent plays zone, they're going to have a very difficult time defending this, because the zone essentially has to pick a receiver to sit in front of, and then you just low ball to the other one, and it's generally an easy score. So again, you mix this in and get a lot of touchdowns this way as well. So very simple. I spoke a little bit earlier about how a lot of the plays that we run in the general field of play are going to force your opponent to play Mabel coverage on both sides and adjust their zone drops to 30 yards or whatever. The way that you want to counter this is also to implement some of these hitches. So if your opponent was to play a Mabel coverage, which would look like this, where they have, a lot of players defending the sidelines because we're attacking with the flats, we're attacking with deep crossing routes and corner routes and things like that. If you mix in a play like spacing, even in the general, field of play like this, you'll find that these are going to get wide open too. So you can actually mix these in just generally. You don't need to wait to get into the red zone to do that. But it is an effective way to score. And you see right here that, again, look, when these routes start to get to the outside, these Mabel coverage looks will run to cover the outside, and it's going to leave a lot of space for you to throw here. You can see that the tight end actually gets open too. You could pass lead this to Mike Evans to the inside with a down low pass. There's just so many options, but mix this in. This spacing switch play, it looks like it isn't much, but trust me when I tell you that it's very, very good against zone, and especially when your opponent starts to take away their resources from the middle of the field. These hitches and these spacing plays are going to do a great job of keeping them honest and mixing them in. So yeah, in summary, that is the gun bunch offset. There are some more plays that you could probably experiment with that you might like, but I feel like, what I've shown you is enough to get by. It's definitely a lot of firepower that you can mix into your offense. Keep in mind, we're running the ball out of the tight Y off a lot with this new RPO zone alert glance, which is just going to kill players who love to run a whole lot of run commit glitching. And, the other passing plays I showed you, like the PA go slot cross, all these plays are very effective, right? So if your opponent is able to stop some of them and you're having a bit of a hard time moving the ball, then you go into gun bunch and you have, the double post, the vertical setups, the deep corner routes, the match beaters, the man beaters, the one play scores, all of that kind of stuff. You'll find that your opponent is going to have a really hard time stopping you consistently if you know how to mix plays up correctly. I'll show you like a basic cover 4 drop as well, just to show you that you can bomb this for a one play score. So if your opponent is playing cover 4, you can just streak the slot wide receiver out of the play PA dig fork, block everybody else, and then you'll find here that we're going to have a window to throw this ball over the top to the outside bunch wide receiver. That's probably one play that I should have showed you earlier, but you can bomb like so many coverages out of this. This is a cover 4 drop, so this isn't match. This is just a standard cover 4. Again, if your opponent is playing cover 4 in the last minute of a game because they're trying to protect a lead and you haven't run this all game, and then you come out and call it, they're going to just be confused with why that's getting wide open. But that's another setup. So that's a cover 4 beater that I probably should have shown you earlier, but you got it now. So that's pretty much it. PA dig fork with that setup is how you want to beat cover 4. But everything else is pretty much able to be run against any coverage in the game. It's not really specific, but again, you have beaters for everything. So If you enjoyed this part of the ebook, leave a like on the video. I mentioned this in the previous part and you guys did a great job showing support. But in order for me to make these videos and do so consistently, knowing that I am providing content that you find valuable does help me stay motivated, and also lets me know, these videos are wanted. So leave a like if you feel free to. If you don't want to, that's fine, but I'd appreciate it. Also leave a comment letting me know any questions you might have. If you liked it, if you have any tips for me to improve these in the future that make it easier to watch, again, let me know. But with that being said, I'll be back soon with some more commentary. Take care, stay safe, and enjoy your Madden.